We're back. SwamiLee's Sports Talk. I'm SwamiLee,
I am Mellow Mike.
and we're here to discuss the 2020/21 NFL Playoffs Wild Card Weekend. We have some serious matchups that I think we can definitely find enjoyable watching. It's surprising, but the Texans aren't here for the 4 o'clock Saturday game like they always play. Mrs. Swami actually asked when the Steelers would play because she knows I want to watch that game. And I told her not 4 o'clock on Saturday because that's the Texans slot. I don't know if anybody ever noticed that, but it always seems to happen. Anyway, Mike, let's get right to it and discuss the playoffs.
All right. Well, I happen to know, although our fans do not, that one of your three favorite quarterbacks in NFL history is one Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah. Everybody else is tied for
So,
second.
let's talk about Buccaneers at team,
Yes, the
the
Washington
last
football
the
team.
evening game tomorrow night. What are your
Well,
thoughts?
first of all, a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, think it's going to be a close game. Did I miss something? Did Tom Brady break his leg or something like that? Is he playing on one leg?
No, but I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out ways to predict a team win over the Bucks, and I found a couple of things.
Let me guess. Brady, Gronk, Mike Evans, and their three best defenders are in a car, and the car goes over a cliff.
No, my research didn't uncover that particular fact.
That's about what it's going to take. I'll tell you that right now. And I think it's going to be a blowout. I mean, I've watched this football team a couple times recently. They're not good. Alex Smith is one hit away from never walking again. And I don't think this team has a chance in hell to even compete in this game. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think they compete. I think they lose by at least 17 points.
Okay, well, before I tell you what I think, let me give you some reasons to find hope for team.
Coronavirus hits the entire Buccaneers team.
Well, no, but certainly Chase Young and company have a good shot at hitting Tom Brady.
Chase Young is a
The,
beast, no doubt.
Washington's pass defense has been pretty good, if not better than pretty good. I mean, between sacking quarterbacks, hitting quarterbacks, and then numbers like 5.3 yards net per pass attempt, better than every team but the Rams, giving up fewer pass TDs than every team but the Rams. Those are reasons to think that the good Mr. Brady might have some difficulty. Additionally, look at Brady's track record against Ron Rivera. The two times he faced off Rivera as head coach, and I know what you're thinking. It was Rivera is 2-0 against Brady's led teams as a head coach. When he was a coordinator with the Bears and the Chargers, Brady's team barely beat his. So maybe Rivera has his number in some way.
No. And we'll just move on to the next game because no. It'll be at least 2 touchdowns. My prediction is 17 points. I don't care if Buddy Ryan comes back from the grave and teams up with Mike Ditka and Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, and all of them. The Washington football team will not even compete in this game. You mark my words.
Well, there's reason to think those are good words, including injuries and the fact that it's not a very good team to begin with.
Yes. Again, Brady breaks his leg in the first quarter. Things could change. Okay, but I'm going with what we know. So let's move on to the next game because I
Well, but
know
hold on. Let me give you my prediction first.
pain.
Although the Bucks will win, it will not be more than an 8-point win.
I
It's going to be closer than you're thinking.
we will see. I think you're going to be wrong on that one. I think you're going to be wrong on that one. But let's jump on to the next game, which is
Okay. Well, let's talk about the the 4 p.m. Saturday game, which will not host your Houston Texans, sorry.
Or the Titans.
It will have the Rams, who I think are now in LA.
They are.
Who knows? Cleveland, LA, St. Louis. Anyway, the Rams going up to Seattle.
Okay. Now, this game is interesting because the Rams haven't announced their starting quarterback. Okay. Seattle, I have to think Russell Wilson comes up big in the big game. I can't tell you more because I don't even know who the Rams quarterback's going to be. But right now, I take Seattle, period, the end. I think they're a better team. They didn't lose to the Jets. And Russell Wilson is a big-time quarterback. That's really all I have to say.
You're right about Russell, and you're right about the fact that, for the most part, the Rams have been bad in the past month.
Indeed.
But, the the Seahawks, I don't know where my head is, do have some big injuries. Iapati, their starting guard, Carlos Hyde. So, the injury bug has certainly hit them. Additionally, the Rams, perhaps more than any time this year, have held DK Metcalf in check.
Well, I go back to the whole quarterback situation that I think is the number one. If I had to go Russell Wilson against some backup quarterback, Russell Wilson all day and night and twice on
Same
Sundays.
applies even if it was Jared Goff, healthy.
Yeah, I think this is one of those games where, unfortunately, it won't even be close, I don't think. But Goff plays at his best. Anything could happen.
Goff plays at his best. They could lose by 10 instead of 20. It's going to be a double-digit win by Seattle, and it's not even going to be as close as the final score indicates.
Garbage time touchdowns. I gotcha. So what do you got next?
Well, let's talk about the only remaining Saturday game, the first game, those Indianapolis Colts in Buffalo.
Indianapolis Colts at Buffalo. Josh Allen is amazing. Josh Allen is probably going to win the Super Bowl this year, but I know we're not doing predictions. The only thing that's going to hurt him is if he, of course, gets hurt, or he self-destructs, and we have no reason to believe he self-destructs. I see Buffalo putting up at least 38 points. The question is, can Indy keep up with him? They're certainly not going to win. The question is going to be, is it going to be 38-13 or 38-31? Jonathan Taylor's had a couple good games. He's starting to come around a little bit. Phillip Rivers is the crafty veteran. But, again, injuries aside, no chance. Buffalo is my team as of today to win the Super Bowl.
Well, you said that barring Josh Allen self-destructing or a serious injury, he's going to carry them. Here's a third reason why he might not carry them. Stephon Diggs, oblique injury. Without Diggs, Allen is going to look very ordinary. Having said that, Diggs will play, and against a beat-up Colts secondary with no Rock Yassin, and no starting safety, Diggs is going to eat them up. And as for Phillip Rivers, you called him a crafty veteran, but I see a guy who has a history of performing in the playoffs, like Peyton Manning, far worse than in the regular season. Rivers is a playoff choker, and there's no reason to think he's going to change that.
Hey, Manning won a Super Bowl. Don't forget that. He eventually turned it around towards the end of his career. So don't forget that.
Well, if he didn't have the help of a dominating defense at a time when he was way over the hill, he wouldn't have won that Super Bowl. And without the help of a strong defense and a great running game, he wouldn't have won against the Bears. But talking about Peyton Manning and how overrated he is a show for another day.
I understand. Let's move on to it. So obviously, Buffalo should blow out the Colts. I don't think
we agree completely.
Okay, so let's move on to our next game, which we have.
Well, let's go to the last remaining AFC matchup, the 4:00 game for Sunday, the Chicago Bears at New Orleans.
You mean the NFC matchup, which would be another game where, if I had to predict it and you put a gun to my head, I'm looking at 37-16. the Saints should pretty much just, again, blow the doors off the Bears. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky, really? I think the Saints win handily. And the worst part is, don't need to give you stats because one team is so much better than the other.
Well, I spent quite a lot of time trying to think of reasons why the Bears and their fans should be hopeful. And beyond the old cliche of on any given Sunday, there is no reason the Bears should be hopeful.
Indeed.
There is no reason the Bears fans should be hopeful.
No, there's anything can happen. We both know that. For heaven's sake, the Jets beat the Rams this season. The Steelers lost to both the Saints and not the Saints, the Bengals and the football team. But no, this game should be a blowout. So let's move right on to the next one. What do we got?
Okay, well, this is the one game that I actually had some difficulty picking. And that is the early game Sunday, Ravens in Tennessee.
The best game of the weekend, just to be clear. This is
we agree on that too.
This is the one game that there is. If you tell me you know what's going to happen in this game, I'm going to call you a liar to your face. Every other game, we have a really solid idea of 5 of the 6 games. This one, flip a coin, see what happens. I usually pick the Ravens because the Ravens never seem to lose. But the Titans have beaten the Ravens. They've had the number. So if I had to pick, I'm going to say that the Titans will continue their dominance over the Ravens. But I have no reason for it. I can't say to you it's going to happen because of this, it's going to happen because of that. I mean, Derrick Henry, of course, is a friggin' monster. Yuli's own Derrick Henry, that is. Just be clear about that. But I'm going to go with the Titans, but I can't give you anything clever about it. I'm just going to tell you that the Titans are going to win the game, and it's going to be a close one. Probably within 4 to 5 points at the most.
Well, this doesn't make for an interesting broadcast, but I agree with just about everything you've said about this game, except the outcome. It will be a one-possession game, and ultimately the Ravens are going to continue their momentum. They've won 5 in a row. John Harbaugh is a great coach, and although it is tough for a playoff road team to come in and win, it's going to happen in this game.
Again, I can't even argue with you because right now, flip a coin, in my opinion, and that's what we got going on. It's going to be a coin flip of the game. So,
well, you're right. It wouldn't be a shock if the Titans win. It wouldn't even be a surprise. But ultimately, the scales are tipped just a tiny bit in favor of the Ravens.
Time will tell. So we got one game left, Mike, and we're running out of time, so let's go over our last game.
Well, I'm just going to say about the Browns-Steelers game that so many other games with COVID issues were rescheduled to accommodate the COVID-infected team. And you've got to think there's nothing bigger than a playoff game.
I'm with you. I don't know what to say about this whole situation. I want to know why they're catching COVID. That's what I want to know. Forget the game. I want to know why we're not bubbling the playoff teams. At this stage of the game, with all this money on the line, why are we not bubbling the playoff teams? Why are we having breakouts this late? That's what I want to know.
Well, I have some ideas, and the idea that I find most compelling is that you have a bunch of young, entitled athletes who think either they're invincible or the rules don't apply to them, or sometimes both, and that's the problem.
Well, I'd like to know exactly what happened as to why this breakout occurred, because seriously, there's no excuse for it. As for postponing the game, I don't know. I mean, I was actually looking forward to a good game after the Browns barely squeezed out a home win against the Steelers' backups. I was looking forward to a full-strength game so I could see just how good or bad the Steelers are. And if they come in and they win 33-9 against the Browns' backups, I mean, hey, yay, we win a playoff game. But is it really an accomplishment? I have my questions and my doubts about that.
On the other hand, it's 25% of what you need to get through the playoffs and win a championship.
Steelers are going nowhere. with all those injuries, they're lucky to be where they are. They had a couple lucky wins during their winning streak. The injuries, I mean, we can blame injuries till we turn blue in the face, but this team has had they were down to their, I think, fifth linebacker. I mean, think about that for a minute. Their backup came in, played well, and got hurt. And then his backup came in and got hurt. I'm going to take the playoff victory as a Steeler fan and be happy with it.
Well, the last time we talked about the Steelers, which was several weeks ago, you said you wouldn't be surprised if they lost out and lost in the first round of the playoffs. Based upon what's going on with COVID, I'd be pretty shocked if Cleveland wins this game.
No, after watching last week's game against the Browns, I was pretty confident they would win the game without the COVID, just because the Browns barely squeaked out a win against the backups. And the Steelers' backups, I mean, as deep as they are in some of those positions, they're not good. So, and the Steelers actually probably should have won that game. So that showed me exactly what the Browns bring to the table, which right now is not much. Is there a future there? There probably is. But right now, that team is going absolutely nowhere.
On that, we agree.
Well, we are running out of time here, Mike, so what are your final thoughts on the playoffs?
It is a damn shame that there is really going to be only one truly exciting game. Although I do look forward to the two early games on Saturday, but far away, the only one that is really compelling is Ravens and Titans.
I would agree. I think most people will go at least 5-1 if they're not against the spread, but just winning outright. I think most people who make predictions will go at least 5-1. I don't think there's going to be any surprises. And the only game, the swing state, so to speak, is the Titans-Ravens. The other five, I think, are pretty solid right now. I think there's very little chance of an upset. But we'll see what happens. Well, we better sign off for the moment. We've run out of time. So SwamiLee's Sports Talk next week. Hopefully we'll return with our next round of the playoffs. In the meantime, I'm SwamiLee.
And I'm Mellow Mike.
And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for stopping in and taking a watch with us.
Bye-bye.